Most people imagine metabolism breaking like a switch flipping. One day you are fine, the next day something is wrong. But biology does not work that way. Your metabolism does not fail loudly. It does not announce itself with pain. It does not collapse all at once. Instead, it drifts, quietly, gradually, almost politely. Calories still burn, blood tests still look normal, weight might not change at all. And yet, underneath that surface, the system that decides how your body uses energy, stores fuel, and responds to food is already shifting. By the time most people notice something is off, the process has been underway for years. This is the silent story of how metabolism breaks. Not through one bad habit, not through one birthday, but through a series of small biological adaptations that slowly stop serving you. In popular culture, metabolism is treated like a dial, fast or slow, good or bad, high or low. But biology does not recognize metabolism as a single speed. It treats it as a coordination problem that must be solved every moment of your life. Your metabolism is not one system but many systems speaking at once. Hormones signal availability, enzymes regulate flow, mitochondria measure demand, the nervous system anticipates risk, the immune system quietly adjusts priorities. None of them are trying to help you lose weight. Their shared goal is survival under uncertain conditions. Every calorie you eat enters a branching decision process. Some energy is burned immediately, some is stored for later, some becomes heat, some is protected for the brain, some is reserved for reproduction and repair. These choices shift hour by hour, shaped by sleep, stress, inflammation, age, and what your body has experienced before. When metabolism breaks, it is not because the system shuts down. It is because it keeps working, but under rules designed for a different world. The earliest signs of metabolic damage almost never appear on a scale. They show up in something far quieter: flexibility. A healthy metabolism is responsive. It shifts smoothly between fuels without effort or distress. Carbohydrates are used after meals. Fat carries the body through fasting. Glycogen supports physical demand. Sleep allows the system to reset. This fluid switching is not a bonus feature. It is the foundation of metabolic health. The first thing to fail is this adaptability. Insulin continues to function, but with less precision. Fat oxidation still occurs, but reluctantly. Cells begin to favor predictability over efficiency, choosing stable but limited pathways instead of dynamic ones that require coordination. You may sense subtle changes: fatigue creeping in between meals, a growing need for snacks to maintain focus, feeling cold more often, lighter, less restorative sleep, waking earlier than expected without feeling rested. None of these feel dramatic. None sound like illness. And that quiet normality is exactly why they are ignored. Inside nearly every cell in your body are mitochondria. They are often described as power plants, but that description is incomplete. Mitochondria are also sensors, constantly reading the cellular environment and adjusting output to match perceived risk. Under stress, mitochondria do not simply fail, they adapt. When energy is plentiful but unpredictable, they downshift to conserve resources. When stress hormones remain elevated, they become cautious. When low-grade inflammation persists, they protect themselves by limiting energy production. At first, this is not damage. It is a survival response. Over time, however, adaptive restraint becomes chronic inefficiency. Total energy output declines, heat generation falls, muscles grow metabolically quieter, fat tissue becomes comparatively louder, taking on a greater role in buffering excess signals. You experience this shift as lower baseline energy, slower recovery after effort, and a growing sense that your body resists movement rather than supporting it. Metabolism is not governed by force, it is governed by rhythm. Hormones rise and fall in carefully timed patterns. Insulin responds to meals, then recedes. Cortisol peaks to mobilize energy, then clears. Leptin reports energy sufficiency. Thyroid hormones fine-tune metabolic output. Ghrelin signals anticipation before food arrives. Health depends less on how strong these signals are and more on when they appear and disappear. Metabolic breakdown begins when timing erodes. Cortisol remains elevated longer than intended. Insulin stays present too often. Leptin continues to signal, but the message is no longer received. Thyroid levels may appear normal on paper, while tissue response quietly dulls. Standard blood tests can still fall within reference ranges. Yet the coordination that once kept the system balanced is gone. This is why people are told everything looks fine, even as they feel increasingly out of sync. When metabolic efficiency declines, fat storage shifts from a problem to a solution. Adipose tissue is not passive weight. It is an active biological buffer. It absorbs excess energy when fuel use becomes unreliable. It dampens inflammatory signals. It softens hormonal noise when regulatory systems fall out of sync. As metabolic flexibility fades, expanding fat storage becomes a stabilizing response rather than a failure. This is why fat gain can occur without a clear increase in food intake, why repeated dieting delivers diminishing returns, why weight loss often becomes harder with time instead of easier. The body is not ignoring your efforts. It is responding to instability. From a biological perspective, storing fat is not resistance, it is protection. Early in life, changes in diet often produce fast and visible results. Later, the same strategies feel muted, slower, and less reliable. This shift is commonly blamed on declining willpower, but biology tells a different story. The metabolic system learns from experience. Repeated cycles of restriction teach the body that energy availability is uncertain. In response, the system becomes cautious. Energy expenditure quietly drops. Conservation becomes faster and more automatic. Hunger signals grow stronger and arrive earlier, not as punishment, but as protection. Over time, intentional weight loss begins to resemble starvation at the biological level. The same alarm pathways activate. The same defensive adaptations engage. At that point, metabolism is no longer focused on optimizing performance or appearance. It has shifted into a different role. It is defending survival. Metabolic decline is often blamed on age, but age itself is rarely the trigger people imagine. Aging is not a switch that suddenly flips. It is an amplifier that increases the volume of processes already in motion. Across decades, small stresses accumulate, sleep becomes shorter and more fragmented, psychological stress lingers longer, low-grade inflammation becomes more common, dietary patterns grow less consistent. For many years, the body compensates. It absorbs the strain. It hides the cost. With time, that buffering capacity fades. Aging does not create the damage, it reveals it. This is why two people of the same age can show dramatically different metabolic health. One appears resilient, the other struggles. The difference is not the calendar, it is exposure. Biology favors stability over performance. Survival systems are not designed to fail loudly or dramatically. A sudden collapse would threaten life. A slow drift preserves function for as long as possible. Metabolic failure follows this logic. It unfolds quietly, beneath awareness, adjusting step by step to maintain balance under stress. Energy output narrows, flexibility fades, compensation replaces efficiency. All of it happens without clear warning signs. This is why metabolic disease often takes years to identify. Symptoms feel vague rather than alarming. Fatigue, weight changes, and disrupted sleep seem disconnected. Interventions arrive late because nothing appears broken enough to demand urgency. By the time clinical numbers cross diagnostic thresholds, the system has already adapted deeply. What looks like sudden failure is usually the final stage of a long, silent negotiation between biology and instability. Metabolism does not betray you. It remembers. It remembers stress. It remembers scarcity. It remembers disruption. And it responds not with drama, but with restraint. Understanding this changes how we think about health. It shifts the focus from punishment to stability, from force to rhythm, from control to cooperation. If this perspective changed how you think about your own body, consider supporting the work here. Like the video if it helped you see metabolism differently. Subscribe to Pure Science Explained for evidence-based explorations of how the body actually works. And if you are comfortable, share your experience in the comments. Your story or your family's story often reflects patterns science is only beginning to describe. Science becomes clearer when we connect it to real lives.